Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I don't really know what the purpose of all these statements from members of the committee are on both sides. I'm paying close attention. I'm totally confused. So can you just give us a quick summation of what we know for certain about spying on American citizens, including the Trump campaign?
Well, what we know is that if there is an evidentiary basis for the president's tweet, it has not been shared with the public. So we'll get that out of the way. The allegation was very specific. President Obama wiretapped Trump Tower.
Yes.
There's not an evidentiary basis for that. Where it gets a little more complicated is there are surveillance methodologies that allow the collection of, hypothetically, foreign-to-foreign communications. And to the extent that U.S. citizens are mentioned or collected in that, in those surveillance programs, they're masked. And I think you want the information collected from a national security standpoint, but the masking is important. So with General Flynn, with the public reporting is that he was unmasked. All right, that's not only a breach of protocol, that's a violation of the law. That's the felonious dissemination of classified material. What Chairman Nunes' point is, I want to know whether or not other people have been unmasked, even though you don't know about it publicly yet.
Interesting, but it would be known in the intelligence community. So my understanding from watching Director Comey is that intel agencies reporting to the Obama White House initiated an investigation of people around candidate Trump before his inauguration. Is that your understanding?
It is not, and I would be surprised if anybody could confirm that. There's a warrant process that you have to go through with the FISA court, and it has to be approved. And again, there's a public record of all of this, Tucker, which would be in the custody of the now Trump Department of Justice. So if there were an evidentiary basis for that, it's pretty easy to lay that out. There's a paper trail.
Why would Director Comey be willing to reveal the existence of some investigations but not comment on others?
That was really surprising to me. If you remember what he said, he sought special dispensation from the Department of Justice to confirm not just a counterintelligence investigation that may manifest itself with criminality, but yet when I asked him about the leaks, he said he could not confirm that there was an investigation. I think they're both of national interest. One happens to be a felony. So I was a little surprised and a little disappointed that he can't at least tell us we are investigating the felonious dissemination of classified material.
And yet he can tell us other things that may suit the agendas of others. It seemed bizarre. Now, we interviewed someone on this show last week who spent 30 years at NSA, Mr. Binney, who said that there is no question that the NSA has personal communications from then-candidate Trump and those around him on its servers. Do you think that that's true?
It depends. It depends on who they're talking to. If you are talking to someone for whom the intelligence agencies are authorized to collect, then yes, you may be captured on it. If there is a reason to collect on a non-U.S. citizen and you happen to call that person, then you would be collected as a U.S. citizen. That's where the masking and treating it confidentially comes into effect.
But he was saying, and again, he worked there for all those years, that NSA collects basically all data coming in and out of the United States because they've tapped into the main data trunk. And the question is, what do they do with it? But they have it. Is that your understanding? Is that true?
I think that's a little broader than what my understanding is. You would have to get a warrant. If you're talking about U.S. citizen, you have to get a warrant application, FISA court. If you're talking foreign to foreign, it's a separate analysis. If you're talking U.S. to foreign, it's still a separate analysis and one that would require going to the FISA court.
So my last question, you sit on the committee that oversees our intelligence agencies. Are you satisfied that if you request a specific accounting of something that you're going to get it, you're going to get a straightforward answer and get the entire answer?
I don't know that I would, Tucker, and I'm not dodging your question. There's something called the Gang of Eight. They are entitled to information that even HPSI members are not.
Members of the committee would receive that information, you think?
Speaker of the House, the minority leader, ranking member, and the chairman of HPSI are four in the Gang of Eight. If you're just a HPSI member like I am.
I get it, but you think they can get whatever they want and they can get the full story and the intel agencies will give it to them and feel the obligation to give it to them?
They should, and I'll only caveat it by saying should, because when one source has the information, the other's requesting it, you never know what you're not
Well,
given,
you never do know that, and that's the concern for ordinary voters like me.
Yes, sir.
Congressman, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gowdy of South Carolina will be at the hearing, of course, and he joins us now. Mr. Gowdy, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So it does seem, in light of the foreign policy developments of the past month or so, where the United States has assumed a hostile posture toward Russia, that most people have kind of decided, you know, how would Trump be doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin when he and Putin are so at odds? So why, given that, is this going forward?
Well, I think some of the folks initially who thought that that was the motive behind, you have to accept as accurate that Donald Trump colluded and coordinated with the Russians, right, and that they had a motive to help him. So all of those assumptions had to be made before you can then say, but he's taking a more belligerent stance towards Russia, therefore that must not be true. I started ground zero. What happened in 2016, whether it was Russia or another foreign actor, did they try to interfere with our election? What was our response in 2016? Not 2 months ago, 2016. What did we know? What did we do about it? The felonious dissemination of classified material, to me, is always relevant. Whether it's in the headlines or not, it's always important, and the issue of unmasking is important.
But it does seem like, look, in a world where there's only so much time and so many priorities, in a Congress where, you know, we didn't get a wall passed, Obamacare has not been repealed or replaced, where there are a lot of priorities that the president ran on remain unfulfilled, for the Republicans in the body to pursue it as basically a fever dream from CNN, seems a little weird.
Well, there are 6 of us, 3 Rs and 3 Ds, that
right,
kind of been assigned to the task force, and we're all on House Intel. So we do have broad jurisdiction, but it doesn't include the border wall, it doesn't include health care, it doesn't include tax reform. We're just intelligence. So whether it's North Korea, whether it's human trafficking in South America, right, it's what we're supposed to do, and providing oversight over the intelligence community is part of it. So the Intel Committee has a robust jurisdiction, but this is part of it. No other committees of Congress, to my knowledge, are holding hearings, not on the House side. And quite frankly, Tucker, we have time. Those of us that are on Intel, we can't talk about we can't talk about North Korea. We can't talk about other things that right, we are investigating. This is one of those rare exceptions where we can both do it and then ultimately answer people's questions at the end.
So unless I'm missing something, the only crime that we're pretty certain occurred in the U.S. was the leaking of Michael Flynn's conversations with the Russian ambassador. Is that part of the investigation?
I would say the hacking of the DNC would also constitute a criminal act. So, and the FBI would have jurisdiction okay, over both of those. But I don't think Congress is well equipped to investigate crime. In fact, I know we're not. So the constitutional injury or things that are of significant public interest, there is a role for Congress to play. We're dreadful at investigating crime, and we should not attempt to do so. Which is why you don't hear me alleging that people committed crimes. There is a constitutional
It hasn't stopped some of your colleagues, I notice.
It doesn't, and that disappoints me because I think you ought to wait until all of the evidence is in and then ask the jury to draw whatever conclusion you want. But we only have one reputation, and it is so easy to accuse someone of a criminal act. And we do it, unfortunately, in modern-day culture a lot. It's just unfair to the individual, no matter who's doing it.
I totally agree. Are you confident that Director Comey is stable and trustworthy?
I am. I have a rich and provocative history with Director Comey, dating back to 2016. I prefer to talk to him privately than in public because, in fairness to him, he can't answer most of my questions in public.
Well, you said that hasn't stopped him from making all kinds of provocative public statements and then not explaining them.
I have a rich and provocative history with him. We've agreed on some matters. We've not agreed on some matters. Whether I like it or not, he's a foundational witness. In fact, he touches all 4 tranches of our investigation, and he may be the only witness that does touch everything from felonious dissemination all the way back to when did the Bureau initiate their investigation. So he's foundational. It's not fair to ask him questions in public where I know he cannot answer them.
Yes.
And then from him, we'll develop other witness leads and documents that we need.
I'd like to ask him a few questions in public, but I don't think he's coming on.
I'm on your show.
I don't think he's...
Well, it looks like James Comey's past shows a completely different tune towards President Obama. According to the Conservative Tribune, they're reporting, look at that creepy picture. That is creepy. Stop the presses. That is just creepy. All right. What's he looking at? What's he smirking at? I don't know, man. I don't want to know. The Conservative Tribune reports the former FBI Director James Comey's written statement to Congress was released to the public on Wednesday. It contains several eyebrow-raising pieces of information. In addition to confirming that Comey did actually tell President Trump 3 times he personally wasn't under. Stop looking at me, Comey. Stop it. You're killing me, dude. Oh, my God. Okay, hang on. Do we have another picture of Comey I can find here who's not looking at me? Despite telling him 3 times he was personally under investigation, the statement also revealed that Comey never kept detailed memos about his conversations with the former president. Former President Barack Obama, according to the Daily Caller. To ensure accuracy, he said, I began to type it on a laptop in the FBI vehicle outside Trump Tower at the moment I walked out of the meeting. Creating written records immediately after one-on-one conversations with Mr. Trump was my practice from that point forward. Comey wrote in his statement. The Comey memos have become a source of intense controversy after details of one of the memos were leaked to the media, causing Democrats to start screaming about Trump obstruction of justice. And as we learned, it was actually Comey that leaked the actual memo to a friend of his who brought it to the press. Yeah. And if you saw our report about the lawyer, Trump's lawyer said this is a violation of the presidential confidentiality between the FBI director and the president. So he said, though, it was not his practice in the past. He said he spoke alone with Obama twice in person. Neither of those circumstances did I memorialize those discussions. So, well, Comey never took notes on Obama. He never took notes on Hillary either. That entire Hillary interrogation that took place, yeah. Didn't take one note. Apparently wasn't interesting enough. But when you hate Trump, then you try to give some evidence and create some evidence against him. And that's exactly what he did, and leaked it to the press and caused a hellstorm. What are your thoughts? Comment below. Subscribe.